the coaching, I both coached Griffin and Dylan in youth football, but that had just ended. It was Dylan's season had just ended, and when Griffin passed away, and so then, as I said, my mom, she had prior to Griffin passing away, though, it was a Mother's Day, actually the day after Mother's Day that very year, she found out she had stage 4 uterine cancer. And so she survived just a lethal surgery where they removed a lot. And so she somehow survived that, only to 8 months later pass away. And so there was kind of a rough time there where for me it felt like everybody was going, nobody was coming.
Yeah.
And so I that led me to a serious bout of depression, to the point where in August of 2015, I actually shot myself and in the head, underneath the chin, and with the intention of not being here. And so as I look back now, everything I didn't have to live for, I now have to live for. And so it was just a period of time where life was tough. And it was, once you get down, what my experience is, once I got down that low, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end, and unless I ended it.
Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zim Zimmerman, Vinny Parisi, and Chris Gonzalez. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Kaminsky dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your 2021 South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs.
Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
Alexei! Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by 20Y.
First pitch starts now.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to South Burbs Hitmen. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, and I'm joined by my White Sox brothers in arms. I'm talking about Vinny Parisi, Steven Zim Zimmerman, and our buddy Chris Gonzalez can't make it tonight, so it's just going to be the three of us. We are the AL Central 2021 champions, boys. Work's not done yet, though. We got a lot left to do. The playoffs are coming. We like to call it Playoff-Palooza on the show tonight. We're going to talk through some playoff scenarios later in the show and just get everyone excited for, the blackouts coming to 35th and Shields. So without further ado, let's talk to the rest of our panel here. We'll start with you, Vinny. Vinny, how you doing today, brother?
Doing great. it was a crazy game today. A little annoying. We'll get into all that later. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. I'm excited that they are the 2021 American League Central champions. There's no more, hey, let's root for the Cleveland Indians to lose and the Chicago White Sox to win. Now it's about getting everyone ready, shaping up the bullpen, making sure the catchers are feeling good, the starting rotations align. We got a big Carlos Rodon start coming up later this week to determine some things. Dallas Keuchel had 2 okay starts in a row now. So there's just a lot to look forward to. I'm excited to see how Tony La Russa manages this thing for the last, I believe there's 5 games left.
5 games left. That is correct. It's crazy when you say it that way. Bring on the playoffs, baby. Zim, how you doing down there in the Batcave?
It's great. Just had to look up some last minute stats for the show tonight. We'll get into that later, but I'm just kind of on cruise control. Like it feels like the Sox are right now. I'm more just looking forward to next week, getting to the playoffs. I'm excited to see if maybe they can make a run for the 2 seed, but I don't know. I feel like it's not really as important as if the 1 seed was within sight. So right now it feels like just stay healthy and get to next Thursday.
Yeah, the home field would be nice, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. We believe we trail Houston by 2 games with 5 left to play. I don't know who has the tiebreaker. Vinny, do you know who has the tiebreaker?
The Astros have the tiebreaker.
Houston does, yes.
All right, so yeah, we would need to have a better record. We had to finish with a better record. So
yep,
stay tuned. But we have a much better schedule than they do. They play Tampa Bay, 3 against Tampa, and 3 against Oakland, I think, to finish the season, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that could make things interesting. We, of course, get Cincinnati and then Detroit again. So go back to the cell. Go back to the rate and support your boys for the last 5 games of the season. I know Vinny's going to be there at least twice out of 5.
I sure am. Maybe 3. We're working on a 3rd, but
maybe
2
3.
for sure. Wednesday and Sunday.
We'll see. Yeah, Vince Testoni in the chat says big Tampa Bay and Oakland fans this week. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go Rays and A's until we go ahead and plays you. I don't know. Anyway,
the good thing
a lot
is
better in my head.
The good thing is Oakland's fighting for something more than Houston. They're fighting for their playoff lives. Like they have a chance, and they're basically. I think if you want the White Sox to win the 2nd seed, the fans at home should be paying close attention to this Mariners-A's series that's about to begin at 9:10 Central Time. I know I'll be all in on that. Probably should be rooting for Oakland because you want them to be playing for something when they play the Astros. So if, the A's sweep the Mariners out of town and then they got the Astros trailing the Yankees or Red Sox by 1 game, they're going to play the Astros really hard. They're going to throw their best at them. So go A's. Moneyball.
Let's do it. But it's been a heck of a week for White Sox fans. Everyone's excited. I know Zim's excited. We're all excited. And look at he's already ready for the blackout. I mean, just look at his setup. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm just gonna take a cardboard cutout of you right now and bring it to the game and just hold it up like
that would have been great last year.
Yeah, right. Well, hopefully we don't need it. Let's just put it that way. But playoff tickets go on sale to the general public. That's right, everyone. They go on sale to the public here on Wednesday. Here's a little screenshot I took off of Facebook. Wednesday at 2 p.m., a limited amount of playoff tickets will go on sale to the general public. Vinny's got a jersey he's holding up for the blackout. I think that's why he's holding it up.
I love wearing the pinstripe jersey. It's my favorite. And I wear my pinstripe jerseys quite frequently, but I have this bad boy Yohan Moncada jersey ready to go for the blackout. The White Sox have all but confirmed that they are doing a blackout for the postseason, so make sure you get the black gear ready because we are going to tear that place down in the postseason.
Yeah, it's gonna be electric. We're gonna be back in black, as AC/DC likes to say. I cannot wait personally. I already got some sets of playoff tickets as a season ticket holder. That's what I was going to say too, is season ticket holders, partial season ticket holders and full season ticket holders already had access to their seats. So I've got 2 seats downstairs and I got 4 seats upstairs. I'm ready for at least for the ALDS. And then as part of my season ticket package, I have 1 ALCS and 1 World Series game. I'm hoping that's a good problem to have, but I'm not going to count my eggs before they're hatched, or my chickens before they're hatched, whatever. You know the saying.
Yeah.
I'm just twisting my words all over the place, but I don't know. Before we get to the rest of the show, Zim, how you feeling about the playoffs right now?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about Houston in particular, just because it feels like they have had our number this season. They're the one playoff team that it seems like we've kind of struggled with out of the group that it looks like is going to make it in the American League. So it's a little concerning, but at the same time, the Sox win at home. So this number 2 seed could be a really, really big deal. Like I said, I'm kind of thinking it's not. I think that's more just to tell myself that it's not.
Sure. Well, look at Andy's comment below. I mean, we would need to go 4-1, and Houston would need to go 1-5 here on out.
Yeah, but it's not impossible. Look at what happened with the Cardinals already this month. The Cardinals had a 2.8
in a row, right?
They had a 2.8% chance to make the postseason on September 1st. They are now all but guaranteed a spot in the playoffs after a 16-game winning streak. Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy things happen in September. I don't know why everybody gets excited for October. September is where a lot of this magic happens. I get that October is the playoffs, but in September, everybody still has a chance.
You got to get hot at the right time. That's what it's all about. And as Vincent says below, Vinny, he says, is it me or does it feel like if we pass Houston, we can beat anybody? I feel the same way. I think that's what October is all about, is that, any team can do anything. I mean, look at St. Louis. They're smoking hot right now. They could go on a run and they could win the NL. I mean, honestly, they could.
They could have a Rockies-type run. They could have a Rockies-type run where they peel off 27 out of 28 and then get swept in the World Series. Anything can happen. No, I shake my head like that because remember what happened to all of us Bears fans in 2018, where it's like, if we can beat the Eagles, we can win the whole damn thing. Well, we didn't beat the Eagles, so it didn't matter, right? So that's why don't look past anything. I don't care if it feels like if we beat Houston, we can beat anyone. I get it. It's a great mentality to have, but I'm not worried about beating anyone. I'm worried about beating Houston.
Just gotta focus on one opponent at a time. I agree 100%. And we've shown that we can beat Houston. We've shown that when these guys are guns a-blazing, they could beat anybody. And for that reason, that's why Dallas Keuchel doesn't make my playoff roster. That's a whole nother conversation. I know we've talked about it already. He's looked better his last 2 starts. He actually made my spoiler alert. He made my put it on the board players of the week because he's somewhat decent this week, enough to warrant a position there. Vinny, what are you feeling about Dallas Keuchel? Because he looks like he's kind of getting his stuff together in time for the playoffs. But is it enough for you?
It's not enough for me to have him in the rotation. If Carlos Rodon is not healthy, I would use Michael Kopech. That's just my preference. It's what I believe is right. Michael Kopech is so good. He's been so good lately. I mean, his stuff is borderline unhittable. And I understand wanting to use him in an Andrew Miller-like long relief role. Cleveland did that in 2016, and they were awesome. If they had a lead going into the 6th or 7th inning, the game was over. And it was just so fun to watch back then. And I believe Michael Kopech can be that. But if the White Sox aren't afforded the opportunity to do that, that's fine. And don't forget, you can reset your playoff rosters each round. So if Rodon can't go against the Astros and the White Sox magically win, then you face the Rays or the Red Sox, whoever wins that series, then Rodon could be activated again. It's not like it's set for the entire playoffs. So with Dallas, if they have him make it, I think it's totally fair to have him in the rotation or in the bullpen based on how he's pitched the last couple of days. I also know he knows those Houston hitters better than most people.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rodon. I want to go back to that for just 1 second. How do you feel about him getting a start this week? Do you think that's a smart move just to kind of see where he's at?
Yeah, because it sounds like he's borderline unhealthy right now. And so
I've heard whispers of a dead arm. I don't know.
Yeah, and if they can't figure that out, you're not going to try it in a playoff game, even as a number 4. If he can't
Sure.
go for the playoffs, you have to find out ahead of the playoffs. And so
That's a
it
good
sounds
point.
to me, it almost sounds to me like they're preparing for the worst, because they already announced that Dylan Cease isn't starting until next Sunday. And I do think that has a little bit to do with him taking one off the leg or whatever. He took it off. He got hit by a ball on a comebacker.
Yeah.
And it could be just to make sure he's fine from that. But it also kind of tells me, like, okay, he's pitching the last regular season game, that they're probably going to use him as a 3 or a 4. It kind of spells bad news for Rodon, I think. But I hope I'm wrong and he comes out and shoves and looks really good and feels really good and is ready to go. Even if he only goes 2 or 3 innings as more of an opener in a playoff game, and then you go to Kopech, that would be fine with me. Reynaldo Lopez has shown he can be that kind of guy. So I don't know. I hope Dallas, if he does make the roster, they figure out the proper way to use him, because Giolito, Lynn, and Cease, give me them in that order any day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100% on board with that, and I feel bad for Rodon. Hopefully, he's at least able to do something in some capacity in the playoffs. We'll see, but nonetheless, best wishes to Carlos. And without further ado, gents, why don't we dive headfirst into the rest of the show, and we're going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, E.T. Phone Home, Tony La Russa. Yeah, so we usually either, criticize, praise, or all of the above in this segment. And Zim is like tapping his mute on and off. It's very distracting. But I'll throw it to Zim first because I don't know, it caught my eye. But I wanted to talk a bit about, you know what? Actually, I'm going to toss it to Vinny first. I lied, so you can mute again, Zim. It's fine. No, I'm just playing. But I am going to toss it to Vinny. I got to talk a little bit about Wright entering the game today. This is a criticism from all of us. This should be a game where you didn't have to use any of your veteran bullpen guys. You could rest some arms, get ready to have a nice run here to finish the season. And Wright blows up. Garrett Crochet comes in, gives up 2 runs. Like, on top of it, it was a disaster. They still won the game, but you had to use more arms than you expected. What the heck is going on in Tony's mind, Vinny?
I get the sentiment to start. You're up 8-2. It's the 8th inning. If Mike Wright Jr. goes 1-2-3, like he has shown he kind of has been able to a little bit, then you look like a genius. You go to the 9th. You let either Crochet or whoever close out the 9th. You look like a genius. Okay. My issue was when it was apparent. Miguel Cabrera connected on one and hit a double. Okay. Miggy's done that 2,986 times. He's 14 away from hitting 3,000. No shame there. Okay. Now batter number 2. Mike Wright Jr. can't throw a strike. And it was apparent from that point on. I don't get how from that point on they just didn't go to Garrett Crochet. And I understand, like I said, having Mike Wright in. He goes 1-2. Miguel Cabrera is very slow. It's not like he's a threat to score on a single, whatever. Once it really, truly started to unravel and he started beaning guys and the bases are now loaded and the tying run is in the on-deck circle, that's a problem. Okay, you don't need to win this game because obviously you clinched. It's looking like you're going to be the 3 seed, whatever. But you have a chance to win a ball game and get that much closer to Houston. Like, it is literally looking directly at you in the face, the opportunity to do that. So I probably would have made the move a little sooner. The Mike Wright Jr. experiment is coming to an end. I'm happy he got an opportunity. He did okay with it. He could probably pitch for a bad team next season based on how he pitched this year. But we got to be done here. And if there's one positive spin zone out of it, Liam's work wasn't as much during the Cleveland series as maybe you would have hoped. So,
Right.
he got an inning, whatever, that's fine. It gives them an opportunity on Tuesday with a fully, almost a full complement of pitchers. I would probably think Liam's unavailable against the Reds tomorrow.
Probably.
But you can use Kimbrel in the 9th inning, which they haven't done much of this season. He only has 1 save with the White Sox. He's been mostly a setup man.
8th inning.
Okay. Michael Kopech is available. You can go from starter to Kopech to Kimbrel. I mean, that'd be really cool to see. So it kind of, in a way, allows them to see what's going on this final week of the season, too. So that's a positive spin zone out of it. You had a feeling it would be like that before the game even started. It's a makeup game in Detroit. Nobody's there. There's like 100 people in the stands. The fact that they scored 8 runs, people should be throwing a parade for that because they had the energy to do that, and they came out guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
And when Ryan Burke came in to replace Dallas Keuchel, it was like, okay, it's going to be one of these kinds of bullpen days. They have a 6-run lead, and then things got ugly, and they needed to use Liam. So I would have taken right out sooner. Garrett Crochet is not a dirty inning pitcher for me. He's one of the best relievers on the team, but it's got to be a fresh, clean inning. When he comes in extras with the runner on second, he's lost the game twice. And that's really his only blemishes on the season. Other than that, he's been freaking awesome.
But it's been a criticism the whole year.
Yeah. And
it doesn't make sense to use
Michael Kopech. He could be a diet Michael Kopech. And so, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I would have taken right out sooner.
For sure. Yeah, it's a criticism for sure. And, Tony's not perfect, but he's certainly got a lot of experience, and that's going to help us in the postseason. But Zim, I got to toss to you. This is more of a fun, lighthearted aspect, but you saw after we clinched the division, right? You see Tony's look?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a look. That's for sure.
It looks like he had a few too many drinks, but
it looks like Halloween's coming up and he's ready for it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Tony channeling his inner E.T. phone home. Let's take a look. Look at this.
That's my least favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I don't like E.T. either.
That's my least favorite division champs picture of all time because of Tony La Russa.
I don't know. I kind of love it deep down. Secretly.
I like seeing him have a good time with the boys. Like
he looks.
See Tim Anderson do the pose right behind him.
Oh, what are they called?
Fish out.
Kind of looks like Emperor Palpatine too, a little bit.
He does. Do it.
He looks like the evil witch in
The Wizard of Oz.
Snow White.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, the poison apple, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a poison apple for all the other teams in baseball. How about that?
Hopefully.
So I just realized I'm covering your face, Sim, but
that's okay.
Who wouldn't want evil Tony La Russa covering their face anyway?
That's right. I do like the Emperor Palpatine comparison. It's very accurate. He's not quite pasty enough, but I tell you what, you have Palpatine stand outside for a 162 game season. He'll tan up a little bit.
Emperor Palpatine would probably be a pretty good baseball coach. I'm just going to throw it out.
That's a good point.
All right, so this is a guaranteed take now.
He'd know how
this
to
is
run
something we're going to have to discuss at some point.
He would know how to run a bullpen.
Like, what fictional character from
totally.
a non-sports universe would be a good MLB coach?
Oh, the Emperor. 1,000,000%.
Give me a week to think on it. We can come back to it next week.
All right. Really quick. I'm so happy with how good they looked in that picture and how happy they are. When you win a Major League Baseball division, you are automatically in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
It puts you right there. That is just so cool. Wow. Tony.
Oh, that's disturbing how similar it is.
Get that off the screen. That's a little sad.
For those of you listening to the audio version, just lucky you.
Count your blessings. Yeah.
I was gonna say come check out the YouTube feed, but just listen.
So it's a side by side of Tony La Russa and Emperor Palpatine. You could probably find it on Twitter. I can't remember who I found it from on Twitter, so I apologize for whoever put it together. But brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant that I'm gonna show you one more time.
That's gold.
But that's all right. It's I gotta love Tony for having some fun with the boys, like Vinny said. It fills my heart with joy. I just want to make sure that he's okay for this playoff run. Yeah, Tony's got to be a little tired, I would imagine. A long season for a guy.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm tired.
He looked pretty fired up in the 9th inning today. He didn't look too tired there.
No,
that's for
he
sure.
certainly did not. Which kind of fits what we're talking about next year, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But there is one more thing that we're talking about in this segment before we get chugging into the rest of it all. I don't know. When do you guys want to cue it up for me, and I'll play the video, or do you want here? You know what? I'll let you guys fight over it. Who wants to take the next segment? I'm going to sit back and watch.
What are we talking about?
All right, I guess we're going to hesitate. So I'm just going to. All right, so the Sox have been hit a very disproportionate number of times this year, and by hit I mean hit by pitch.
76.
And I think it was what was the number in today's game? 76 hit by pitches to hitting
Tony's
50
age.
opponents.
Yep.
They've hit 50 opponents. They have been hit 76 times. And it seemed like Tony and Cairo and Abreu all kind of hit their breaking points with it today. I got a feeling if we see it happen again in the next week, it might not end as peacefully and as quickly as it did this afternoon, I guess.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's cue the tape.
It's a ball in the dirt, and Jose peels away. Throw down to second, meets him there, and he is out.
Well, he went in real hard to Goodrum.
And Goodrum is jawing at him, and Jose's going right back at him. Jose is really not happy with being hit by that pitch. And now the benches are going to clear at Comerica Park. Garrett Crochet is right in the middle of that thing. The Sox and Tigers in their final game of the season in the 9th inning. Everybody spilling out from the bullpen and meeting at second base.
I'm not sure why Lang was in the middle of that, but Jose is justifiably unhappy. That's the most unhappy I've seen him. Lang decided to get in the middle of it.
Wow, boys. I agree with Stone Pony there. I've never seen Abreu that fired up.
No.
He's got to be careful, with the playoffs so close. You don't want to get a suspension or anything along those lines. And I heard some rumblings that he might be getting some sort of suspension here. I don't know if that's true.
Why would he be suspended?
Because of the way he was manhandling the umpire? I don't know.
I think that was actually just a really good job of the umpire of preventing a situation from escalating. And if you notice, Abreu didn't get really out of control until Gavin Sheets was holding him as opposed to the umpire. So I think he's safe from that. If anything, I think that Lang might get suspended because he should have been ejected from that game. Simply for the fact of we've never seen Jose Abreu get that upset. That man clearly said something to him that really set him off. We know Jose's a competitor, and we know that he has that drive, that some special athletes have to push him to that next level. And he keeps it on the field. So for Lang to have said something that got him that fired up, I have to believe that an umpire heard it, and I have to believe that it will be reported in, the incident report that comes from today's game, as I believe Major League umpires are still required to do.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and I like the point that's made below by Vincent. Vinny, he says, they would have thrown Detroit pitcher out if it was Ohtani. What are your thoughts there? I think it's true.
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
As much as I want to be all rambunctious and talk my shit and do what I got to do, I don't think this was on purpose. That was the first time this season that Detroit hit Abreu. I looked it up. The Guardians hit him 5 times, and nobody said anything to them. I do think Detroit was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
They hit Abreu on a 3-2 pitch after just coming back from down 6 runs with a chance to win it in the 9th. And Abreu, I'm not faulting Abreu. When you get hit 21 times in a season, you're going to be pissed. You're going to be angry. You're not angry at the person per se. You're angry at the situation. And he took a nice hard slide into Goodrum. And I believe Nico Goodrum is the one that said something to Abreu that got him all fired up. Now, Abreu was kind of asking for it by taking a hard slide into second base. For those
He's trying to beat a
watching,
throw.
yeah, and for those who have been watching baseball for a long time, that used to be like a thing. You'd get beamed, and then you'd steal on the next pitch or take a hard slide in the second. That used to be like a thing. And it really doesn't exist much anymore because everything is so, with social media and the extra cameras and trying to win baseball games first.
Unwritten rules.
Yeah. Analytics saying stuff about stealing bases and when to do it and whatnot. That also kind of goes into everyone's thoughts on everything. Retaliation is just so different these days. But Abreu just for 5 seconds was playing in 1982. And he did what he did, and Goodrum got in his face, and Abreu was as mad as you've ever seen him before. And I don't know if it's going to happen again just because of what happened today. I would think Rick Hahn and Tony La Russa and Ken Williams, they all are going to be in Abreu's face. Hey, we need you, pal. You cannot be getting hurt because they play Detroit again next Saturday, and that's tough. So
it's going to be a fiery series for sure.
Yeah, and so I really just hope nobody gets hurt, because if someone like Abreu gets hurt because they're fighting or something against the 2021 Detroit Tigers, who are not even really going to be a 500 team.
They're not relevant, yeah.
Exactly. This year's Tigers team is a dud. And you don't know, we don't like duds. You got something real quick?
I just wanted to point out, we see in that video, he's jawing back and forth with Goodrum. You can see it right here. He's jawing back and forth with Goodrum. And it is what it is. I think Jose's a little hot, but I think he was ready to let it go at this point.
Yes.
And then you see him start to push past as soon as Lang gets in between the two of them. And that's where I think, because you see immediately, Crochet, and I didn't catch the other two guys, they start pushing at Lang immediately. That's why I think that dude instigated something. And again, I totally agree with you. It was absolutely 100% not intentional. I also think it was a good pitch to try and take second base on, because if he was if he was trying to take that base against a catcher that wasn't as defensively talented as, I'm sorry, I don't know the catcher's name, and
Eric Hosh.
Hosh, yeah.
Yep.
He is a good defensive catcher. That's one thing I've really noticed from watching the Tigers series this year. I would love to have a defensive catcher like that on our team. But at any rate, if he's going up against a catcher that doesn't have a cannon like that, he's safe 9 out of 10 times. So
sure. No doubt about it. Do you guys have you ever have a family member who, if they say one thing, I'm going to pop off on them?
Yes.
That's kind of like what was
or a coworker.
Yeah, exactly. And you nothing was predetermined that day, but it's if this person says one thing to me, I'm going to go off on them. That's what it was like.
Andy
here.
says in the chat.
When Abreu got to first base, he decided that if a single person said a word to him, he was going to pop off. Nico Goodrum said a word to him.
Well, and I think it could have been just as simple as hey man, I don't know why you're sliding so hard. I'm not the guy that hit you. And Abreu basically just saying, well, I'm tired of this crap and I don't think I deserve this crap. And then when Lang gets in the middle of it, he's the guy who just hit him. That's where the frustration, now he has a direction for it. So it does seem like wrong place, wrong time for the whole irrelevant Detroit team. Sorry.
Detroit.
For the whole Tigers team.
And if you look at the league's top hit players, they're all elite. They're all guys who are pitching inside. And
it's Trout, it's Judge, it's Abreu. Yeah.
Rizzo. If you let those guys, if you don't push those guys off the plate, they're going to smash you.
They're just going to rip those inside pitches down the line, right?
Exactly. If you guys, for those watching and you guys too, if you haven't seen AJ Hinch's post-game press conference today, I highly encourage you to watch it. He's the Detroit Tigers manager, and this guy gets it. I'll say it. This guy gets it. He said, Abreu's been hit a lot this year. He's a great player. We know the circumstance. And it kind of makes me hopeful that nothing bad happens next weekend, because AJ Hinch has this under control. He knows what he's doing.
Now, hey,
yes.
I mentioned catchers in that last segment. Some really strong defensive catchers. And speaking of strong defensive catchers, we do not have one of those. Why don't we talk about that more in our Adam Dud of the week?
You suck. You suck. Stupid. Lousy. No excuse.
What a dud. What a total dud.
That's right, Zim. I appreciate the introduction into the Adam Dud of the week. We talk about guys who pooped the bed and didn't perform so well. However you want to say it, they just didn't do what they're supposed to do. And there's a handful of nominees this week. I feel like there's a lot of good players this week, and there's a lot of bad. There's nothing in between. So, Zim, we'll start things off with you. Who are you nominating for the Adam Dud of the week?
Okay, offensively, I know that I don't have much of a case against Yaz, but defensively, I certainly do. Certainly do. Go ahead and take a look at his defensive numbers from the past week. In addition to adding to his second in the league passed balls total, he allowed 10 stolen bases in the past week. 10.
Wow.
He caught 1. So 1 out of 11. That is less than a 10% caught stealing percentage. For reference, for those of you, I know it's sort of an obscure stat when it comes to the stat lines in professional baseball. Good, or I shouldn't even say good, average. Average is considered 33%, 1 out of 3. Similar to batting. Well, I say similar because, 300 is above average for a batter, but
right.
300 is considered league average for caught stealing as a catcher. What does this come out to? Like 0.8 or 8%, something like that. 8% caught stealing is atrocious. I don't know why that's on the screen. That is atrocious.
That's atrocious.
It is not good. Zach Collins did not really help in that department. He allowed 3 stolen bases, but had no pass balls, I will say. It's just defensively, we're letting base runners kind of do whatever they want out there. We're letting them kind of control the game, and it's directly leading to losses. And that's just a measurable fact. And
I'm not gonna lie, I'm shocked you took Yasmani Grandal this week, man.
Like
all
I
the
said,
options, you hate Yaz so much.
I'm tired of watching teams run rampant on us. I'm tired of seeing a guy get to first base and knowing like, hey, he's moderately fast. He's just gonna wheel around the bases if anything happens. There's so many pass balls this season that guys seem to be advancing at will on the base pass. Yaz clearly isn't interested in throwing runners out. I've watched him throw about 8 balls into center field this year. So I'm controlling base runners is part of the game. And it seems like a part of the game that the Sox have decided to just concede. And when we play teams that have high offensive production, it's coming back to bite us. It's coming back in the form of runs. And it's why we're losing games against the Rangers, against the Astros, against, some of these teams that are good like the Astros, some of these teams that are not so good like the Rangers that have no business beating this White Sox team. So yeah, I guess it's just a culmination of frustrations when I've been watching this guy. And I know there's a lot more opportunity to talk about guys like Mike Wright or Andrew Vaughn, but I like watching defensive baseball too. It's not all about hitting the long ball and driving in runs. Sometimes it's about not letting the other team score.
Totally fair, man. And I respect that. I do. All right. So that's your pick. Vinny, what do you got for a dud of the week?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with our guy, Jose Ruiz. Now, Jose Ruiz in certain situations has been fine this season. He's not a high leverage guy. He can eat up innings. He would have been a perfect guy to have in instead of Mike Wright Jr. earlier today.
Absolutely.
Like that's the kind of time you put in Jose Ruiz. He's always fine when he has a 6-run lead. If he gives up a solo bomb, whatever. But he's not really walking 3 guys in a row like Mike Wright Jr. did. Like that's just not going to happen. He's got good control. He's got good enough stuff to create swings and misses. And so I think he has a purpose on the team. I'm not sure if he's going to make the playoff roster. I do think against Houston, they will have 1 less pitcher and 1 more bench piece. Whereas against Tampa Bay, they might opt for the extra pitcher than the extra bench piece. That's just my personal opinion on the thing. And we're assuming Tampa Bay. I hate when I do that, but you get what I'm saying. So Ruiz, you could be better than you were. You were put in a situation that they kind of needed you, and you didn't come through. That kind of was my last straw for him in terms of, can we trust this guy? Can we not? Well, we could trust him in certain times. So I'm not going to completely dump on him, but yeah, Jose Ruiz isn't it when it comes to high leverage playoff baseball pitching scenarios.
Totally, man. Yeah, I'm with you there. And we talked about Mike Wright already, so I'm not going to talk about Mike Wright in this segment because we all know he has had a horrible week. 2 innings, 4 runs, 18 ERA. I mean, speaks for itself. But I do want to talk a little bit about Andrew Vaughn, who I am concerned about heading into the playoffs, guys. This is a guy that we had pegged as the rookie of the year in the American League. And, he's had a real rough, I don't know, say last month or so, maybe 3 weeks since. Well, when did he come out? He was on IL for a brief period, right? Vinny, wasn't he like out for like a week and a half or so? Yeah. So he hasn't been the same player when he came back. And, he just did not have good at bats this week. I mean, look at his stats, 2 for 16, hitting 125 with 5 strikeouts. He did manage to score 2 runs and have 2 RBI in that point, but he's not hitting for contact. It just hasn't. It's been some pretty ugly at bats. Those 5 Ks were pretty nasty, ugly Ks. So I'm a little concerned about Andrew Vaughn. I know, he's probably going to be okay. But in the back of my head, I was like, man, we really need this guy in the playoffs. His bat's going to need to step up. And I just don't know how he's going to be able to hold up under the pressure as a rookie. Not that I wish anything bad upon him. I really hope he breaks out of this. I'm just overly concerned about Andrew Vaughn. Maybe it's all in my head. Are you concerned at all, Vinny or Zim, about Vaughn? Because I am.
I'll talk you off a cliff.
All right.
Andrew Vaughn did not have but half of a minor league season the year he was drafted. And then COVID-19 hit. He didn't get to play in the minor leagues last season. He spent the entire year at the alternate site hitting bombs off of Reynaldo Lopez at Wintrust Stadium in Schaumburg. So then this year he comes up and he makes the roster on day one. Okay, that's awesome. He's playing left field. He's a first baseman because Eloy likes to hang from walls in spring training. Well, when Eloy comes back, let's try Andy and right. He can play right. He even had a game at third base this season. He was fine. He's not an all-world hitter just yet, but you can see in his good at-bats that he's had this season that this guy, when he's going, he can hit baseballs to Pluto. And I think his development has been a little bit different than some of the other top White Sox prospects. You think about Moncada and Robert and Jimenez, and even like someone like Nick Madrigal. Those guys got to play normal seasons, and they also came to a bad team. There was no pressure when they first got here. Moncada, he sucked in his first season. He hit like 210. His OPS was under 600. He was still finding his way. Andrew Vaughn doesn't have that luxury. If you're not good enough on this team, you're on the bench. Moncada, they let him go through it. Jimenez, get through it. Jimenez had that rough April when he first came in. Then he caught fire, and we saw the 50 bombs
settled
that he
down,
can hit. Yeah. Vaughn, I'm not sure how much he's going to play in the playoffs because Leary Garcia has just been fantastic, and he could play
again
right
this
field
week too.
And you can use Yaz as a DH if you want. You can use, Zach Collins has been sweet the last week or so. So, I'm not saying that, Yaz will be the starting catcher and Vaughn would probably hit over Collins. But I think there's plenty of development to be had with Vaughn. The reason people are going to be concerned is because of the timing of everything right now. The White Sox have a legitimate chance to win the World Series. But Vaughn's going to be one of the team's 5 or 6 best hitters for a long time. You talk about the big 6. The White Sox are like 5-1 when the big 6 are in the lineup. It's kind of sad they've only been in the lineup together that many times. Mm-hmm. But Vaughn's going to be part of the big 7 one day. Like, I believe that.
I think it might still be a big 6 by then because Abreu might not be around, but
Fair.
That's just, it's not to say there's anything wrong with him. It's just, passage of time.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with a lot of what Vinny has said, but in addition, I'd like to just, reiterate something that we all have to kind of remind ourselves. It's a 162 game season. Guys get hot, guys get cold. He's just cold right now, and that's all there is to it. He could be tired, to further extrapolate Vinny's point of, he's never played this long of a season before. He had a shortened COVID season. Last season was also a shortened season. This is the first time he's ever played this many games in his life. I mean, I don't care how much you play as a kid, how much you play in high school, JUCO, college, minors, whatever. Nobody else but Major League Baseball plays a 162 game season. And aside from that little 10-day IL stint, Andrew Vaughn's been there the whole way. And he's had to learn 7 new positions while doing it. Sorry, 6 new positions while doing it.
And well, for that matter.
That's it. So no, I'm not really concerned by any means. I think you let him fall into a groove and let him do his thing. Larry Garcia is hot as hell right now. And you guys made fun of me so many times for picking him as a pick to click early in the season. It just goes to show that that's the way this game goes. I said it before. He's going to get hot. I said it about Lurie when I picked him. He gets hot like this throughout the season. Vaughn, same deal. He's going to get cold like this throughout the season. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. I think, he could pull a Scotty Potts on us and be ice freaking cold leading into the playoffs and then just tear it up as soon as the playoffs come.
Hey, adrenaline does a lot of things to a person. So,
and there are two young
exciting.
guys. There are 2 young guys that I see. If the Sox make a deep postseason run, like who are the rookies that stepped up? I like Andrew Vaughn as a candidate to be one of those guys. And then I think of someone like Gavin Sheets. Gav has the power. And if he gets a pinch hit situation in a 10th inning in the postseason and he hits one to Pluto, wouldn't surprise me. I like how you knew that was coming. The Vinny verbiage.
I know.
I'm often told that I have phrases that I say a bunch and often get made fun of them. Like I say "oh boy" a lot. Apparently, I say 100% a lot. So
I say absolutely a lot. Absolutely.
I think every podcaster on planet Earth thinks that they say absolutely a lot, or I couldn't agree more, even though you completely disagree. One thing none of us will ever agree on. Or disagree on, I should say, rather. There's nothing in baseball like watching that little white thing fly into the air, knowing it's just going to go over that fence into a big sea of people, and we could yell at the top of our lungs, put it on the board.
Ball hit deep! Way back! He looks up! You can put it on the board! Yes!
Yes, we talk about the players that we had that had a great week that blew up the scoreboard. And Vincent's poking fun of us in the chat, by the way. He says, we all say, my guy.
My guy.
He goes, the rest of the guys in the show, every Sox player is your guy.
You know how it is, Vincent. Follow me on Twitter. You'll realize all of these guys are my guys. I love every single. You put on that uniform, you're my guy. Except for Adam LaRoche. Screw that guy.
Yeah, Drake. We see you, Drake. Not the rapper Drake, by the way.
Drake's got to be, 20 now? I wonder if he's old enough to have a beer.
Maybe he'll come on the podcast. Probably not.
That might be the actual last person on the planet to come on this podcast.
I'm busy that day.
He's like, well, he wouldn't come on the show anyway. Let's be honest. But anyway, let's talk about
bring my
the guys
kids on the show that day.
There you go. Let's bring your kid to work. Bring your kid to work day. Jimmy Rollins and company. Anyway, there are some good big performances this week from this team. I mean, you could name a bunch of guys. A lot of them were pitchers, but I'm going to go first because I'm feeling greedy. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Liam Hendricks right now.
Yeah.
This guy is a man on fire. He helped clinch the division. You know, he's got a 0 ERA. He's striking guys out left and right. I mean, this guy, he is just all over the place. He's just kicking ass and taking names. Let me pull up his exact stats on the week. He threw for 5 innings, only gave up 3 hits, no runs. And how many strikeouts? 5? No. He had, great. Of course,
lot.
it's not right in front of him. A lot of strikeouts. Where is it?
He's up to 107 strikeouts on the season.
And he only has like 8 walks.
I think it's 4 walks. I'm not sure.
It's something ridiculous. It's
not a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And he,
7 walks on the season.
He's also just like a freak, which is exactly what you want in a closer. Like,
yeah,
he's a beast.
Some of the best closers of all time, Mo is obviously the GOAT, Mariano Rivera. That's the greatest closer who ever lived. But he was like quiet and like walked to the mound while Enter Sandman was playing, and you just feared him more, like because it was like the fear of the unknown. And then Craig Kimbrell came along, and he gave similar vibes when he was with Atlanta and Boston, and then the 2 Chicago teams. Now this guy Liam Hendricks comes out of nowhere, and he's walking pre-workout. I say it 1,000 times. He's unbelievable. So I like your pick.
He reminds me of Ricky Vaughn from Major League, but if personified, man. He has that it factor. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he comes into the postseason with a Wild Thing haircut, man.
the ponytail gang.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Yeah, and then I'm pulling up Liam Hendricks. He's had this last week in terms of strikeouts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikeouts in the last week. I mean, the guy's just a man on a mission, and I love it.
And how's this? When they acquired Craig Kimbrell, I made a lot of noise about the amount of home runs that he allowed. He had allowed 8 to that point in the year, and that was end of July.
Yeah, the trade deadline was July 29th.
He's allowed 3 more home runs since then. But considering the rate that he was at before then and the rate that he's giving them up now, it always sucks when your closer gives up a home run. This is the second highest amount of home runs he's ever given up in a season.
Well, and look at this.
It's fine.
Good.
It's fine.
Yeah. I just want to say, think of all the home runs he's given up in your head, okay?
Right.
You know what this man's whip is on the season?
Not much.
It's 0.75. You take away those home runs, you know what it probably is? It's probably like 0.3.
How many of them were in April or May, too, when he had April arm?
And that's true. And a good chunk of them were.
And it made people overreact because the sample size was so small.
Well, here, let's take a look at his game logs.
And he was a freakazoid last year too. The unsustainable. He gave up like 1 home run all last season, and it was to Robert in the playoffs.
And he had like a 0.6 whip last year, like that. He was just unreal last year.
Grandal.
I totally get that.
Grandal hit a bomb off of him last year in the playoffs. And that was like the only home run he had given up all last season. So people were like, he went the entire 2020 season without giving up a home run. He's already given up 5 with us. Well, they played 60 games in 2020. And like it was August and September when everyone feels good.
Yep. So, my picks, go ahead.
Yeah, Hendricks did give up 4 of those home runs in April. He gave up 0 home runs to follow that up in May. 2 in June. 2 in July. 3 in August. And how's this one? None in September. In September, he has lowered his ERA from 3.05 to 2.65. Where's that whip I just had? I lost it. But regardless, his numbers are trending significantly downward, except for his strikeouts, in which he has struck out at least 1 batter in all but 1 appearance in the month of September. And he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 appearances in September.
And I kind of like that.
The Angels, he struck out the side.
Yep.
Exactly. And teams are just straight up scared of this guy. Like I said, I don't hold Detroit accountable for anything they did today. Like I said, wrong place, wrong time. But I love when guys stick up for their teammates, right or wrong. When he struck out Goodrum for the last out of the game, so fitting, He looked right in Detroit's bench and yelled "F you" at the top of his lungs. That's exactly something I love to see it from this guy.
Yep.
Don't mess with the White Sox or Liam Hendricks will kill you. That's awesome.
Here's a fun one. You know the last time Liam Hendricks allowed a run?
It was not in September.
Was it against the Cubs?
It was before that.
Okay. Wow.
It was August 24th against Toronto.
Wow.
He has not allowed a run in over a month, and that is a dozen appearances since he's allowed that run. In that time period,
that's bonkers.
He's struck out 13. Wait, sorry. My math is definitely wrong.
A lot.
This is not a math
16.
podcast.
He's struck out 16 batters in that amount of time, 16 batters and a dozen appearances, and he only goes an inning at a time. I mean, think about it that way too. Like, the guy has just been locked down in the last month. I love the pick, Joe. The longer I look at these numbers, like, the more I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, this guy's our closer, no doubt about it. And I realize we've talked about my pick for like 20 minutes, but
Liam Hendricks.
I want to talk about Liam Hendricks forever.
Especially considering like some of the bad press I've given him over the last couple. Well, I mean, I haven't spoken about him much, but like I want to come back down off of my hill. I'm not going to die on that hill anymore. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to tell you guys, look, I was wrong. Okay. And I was absolutely nuts to consider that maybe Craig Kimbrell should be the closer when we just needed to give Kimbrell some time to fall into place. Like, Hendricks is the dude. He not only was given that closing spot by seniority, but he has by far earned and deserved it.
Absolutely. And let's talk about some other guys that lit it up this week. Vinny, who's your pick for put it on the board player of the week?
Okay, my guy feeds right off yours. Because if the White Sox bullpen is used by design, you would go starter, Kopech, Kimbrell, Hendricks. Okay, cool. Aaron Bummer would be the best reliever on most teams. He could be awesome. A closer. He could be a setup man. Struggled to start this season. Why? Bad luck. Sinker ballers give up choppers every now and again. If you hit a chopper to Danny Mendick and he commits an error because of it, you almost tip your cap. Like, that happens. But if you can figure out a way to get those choppers just down a little bit, Aaron Bummer has. The fact that he's part of the White Sox B team in terms of the bullpen is absolutely banana lands. It's banana lands. He was their second best reliever on the team last year. Now he's their fourth best reliever because Michael Kopech and Craig Kimbrell are sweet. Okay, so Bummer this week, he's been incredible. When he comes in, you should be as happy as any White Sox reliever coming in, and there's just no reason to think that they can't win when he is part of the plan, and he's going to be here for a long time. And you see on the screen that in 3.1 innings pitched this weekend, he has not given up a run on 3 strikeouts, the 1 walk. I even think he could do better than that, and that's disgusting to say. Aaron Bummer has nasty stuff. His slider was a little strange today. He didn't have it quite the way he did in other games that you would see, but his sinker ball, man, when he throws it and everything's working well, Aaron Bummer is awesome. He kind of reminds me of if Chris Sale was a reliever.
Yeah.
He's kind of mean looking. He kind of looks like he just wants to throw it at you every time, and that's just so intimidating. The pitching style is very different. Chris Sale's more slider and sidearm 100-mile-an-hour heat, but I don't know, man. Aaron Bummer's awesome, and if he's coming into a playoff game that the White Sox have a small lead in, I'm comfortable with it.
I like it, man. I love the Aaron Bummer pick. The kid's a good one, and he's exciting to watch.
And
Zim, what do you got for your putter up? They have him for quite a while, absolutely. Zim, who's your pick to click, or not your pick to click? Your putter on the board player of the week.
I got to give Dallas Keuchel some props here. So we're going pitchers across the board this week, but Keuchel did something that he hasn't been doing very well, and that was working out of some tough situations. He finally came through, and he's definitely still allowing hits at kind of an alarming rate. But at this point, he's working out of his situations. He's getting those outs that he needs. He's keeping the ball down when he wants it down. he has, slowly been working down that inflated ERA that he gave himself. It's almost back down under 5, which is kind of sad to say, but he's getting there. He's doing what he needs to do to earn this team's trust to making this playoff roster. Obviously, I think if he is in the playoff roster, he's got to be out of the bullpen. But I mean,
totally.
Let's see, 2 starts ago against the Tigers, he let up 11 hits. And that's like a lot of hits, especially when you consider he only pitched 5 innings, but he only gave up 2 earned runs. And those are the only 2 runs he gave up. There were no unearned runs, just 2 runs.
That's kind of the name of Dallas Keuchel's game. He's going to give up hits. He's a soft tossing contact pitcher.
That's it. He's not the guy that he used to be. And I think he's starting to understand that. And he's going to have to switch to more of that Greg Maddux, or for a more recent one. Who's the guy in St. Louis?
Wainwright.
Wainwright. Thank you. I kept wanting to say Carpenter, and I'm like, no, he's been gone for years.
There's Kyle Hendricks too, who's much better, but it's same style.
Yes. Where you got to kind of start to adapt in that older age. Just admit that, like, all right, my arm is not going to do that anymore. I've got to just start being pinpoint accurate and knowing exactly what I want to do with this. And it seems like he's starting to kind of accept that. I don't think it was that he didn't know that or wasn't trying to do that. I think it's that he was fighting it a little bit, that he was still trying to be the guy that he was, when he was a World Series champion with the Astros. He's just not that guy anymore. And like I said, it's starting to show that he's accepting it and learning to work within his constraints. And he's not getting in his own head as much. It almost feels like the last couple of starts. It feels like instead of giving up the hit and going, man, I shouldn't, it's all right, let's get the next guy out, and that's the mentality you have to have. So at least that's what I've seen. It seems like it's translating if that is what's happening. If not, hey, whatever he's doing, it's working for him. Keep it up. So, all right, we've all talked about our put it on the board players, but now it's time to talk about our picks to click. So,
yeah, I know Zim's kind of fired up about this one. We'll talk. I know
absolutely.
Gonzo's not here to defend his pick, but
I'll concede it because Gonzo's not here to defend himself, and you already predetermined that he won off of I don't know freaking what, but
a text from Gonzo saying that he won.
I mean, that's what I'm assuming. There's probably some sort of monetary exchange going on here in order to try to fend me off from taking this.
Joe can't win. Joe can't win. We got to lay off Joe a little bit.
All I'm saying is even if we come to an agreement that Gonzo did not win, and I'm not saying he didn't, I'm just saying if we were to come to that agreement, I will still concede and allow him to continue with his pick and not have to change that because, he's already got it locked in and I've got reasons for picking somebody else finally. So
there you go. It's all right. And Travis says real quick, I want to address this. What's up, fellas? I hope Joe's not mad at me. LOL. Let's hope the Sox can win and keep our minds off the Bears. Yes, of course. We could never be mad at you, Travis. We appreciate you tuning in every week.
Oh, we could absolutely be mad at you, but it would take a lot more.
Yeah, don't piss me off.
It's impossible to be mad at me, let's be honest. Depends who you ask, I guess, but that's okay. But let's keep things chugging along. Speaking of pick to click, my pick last week was Adam Engel, who had a whole 9 at-bats this week, but he did go 3 for 9. Went 3 for 9, 333 with 0 ribbies and 0 runs scored.
But that's a really good batting average. So by your logic, he should probably win you pick to click.
There's some more to it than that, Zim, but I do appreciate your in-depth research. We'll go with Vinny next. He had Yoan Moncada, a great weekend himself. 6 for 21, 286. Strange, weird 0 RBI week for Yoan. But 2 runs scored and 4 walks.
He was at the top of the lineup a lot this week, so it's understandable.
Yeah, that's fair. Then Luis Robert went 6 for 20 for 300, batting 300, 6 ribbies, 2 homers, 2 runs, and a walk. So solid 300 week, 2 homers, a lot of RBI. And then Gonzo's pick was Yasmani Grandal, who went 7 for 20, batting .350 with 2 ribbies, 3 runs scored, and 7 walks. That's right, 7 walks this week. That's unbelievable. So I chose out of that the winner to be Yasmani Grandal because Luis Robert has won 3 weeks in a row for whoever chose him. And on top of it, you could argue both of those guys were equally meaningful. But I want to ask you, chat room, who wins here? Is it Gonzo or is it Zim? With Gonzo took Grandal, Zim took Robert. Robert had more RBI, but Grandal got on base a lot more.
Can I throw a positive spin zone out there? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
At least we're at the point of the White Sox rebuild where all 4 of us pick a guy, and I'm looking. They all have a batting average above 280. They all have many hits per at bat. Obviously, that means a good batting average. They're all walking at a decent clip. Robert's not much of a walker. He swings a lot.
He's a swinger, yeah.
He'll strike out more than the rest, but he'll also walk a little less, but he'll also hit a little more. So, but it's not like we're all picking like 5 or 6 guys and we just hope one of them sucks a little less. Like,
right. It's like they all
nice
have a legitimate shot.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about being a White Sox fan in 2021. It's not like we're not all picking we're not picking Yomer Sanchez,
Matt Davidson,
Melky Cabrera, and Matt Davidson, and just hoping one of them hits a home run this week. Like that's just not how it works anymore. We're all picking guys with like 300-ish batting averages. So
yeah, it's fun. Like this segment, it went from like, oh, somebody's just gonna pick Jose Abreu every week and wreck the rest of it, to being like, this is actually a lot of fun because it creates this debate where like, well, what is more valuable in this situation? Yasmani had more hits and more walks. He was on base a crap load this week. Every time you turned on the Sox on offense, Yaz was on base. Okay, but like on the opposite argument here, like Luis Robert had 6 RBIs. Like that's not something to discount. He put a lot of players across the plate and scored 2 runs himself. Oh, and both of those runs that he scored came on long balls. So like, it's a legitimate argument, I think.
Okay, that's fair. You know what? I think I've been swayed to the Luis Robert argument. Even Gonzo
I will say,
in the chat room says not me. That's bogus.
I will say, if it comes down to a tiebreaker, say that each of these things are just as valuable. I know I went off about this already, so I'm not going to get too deep into it, but look at the defensive stats. Okay. Defensively, Yasmani Grandal did not have a very good week.
That's fair.
Whereas Luis Robert made 8 putouts on 8 on 8 opportunities.
You have a very compelling argument, and you have swayed me. So I will give you your 8th win of the season on 27 tries. I do want to point out that Gonzo is the one in the chat that said that he didn't win, and that's that's very commendable.
I do always bag Grandal. I'm not even going to deny that. And maybe it's because I grew up watching like Pudge and Mike Piazza and AJ Pierzynski. Like I grew up watching some really great catchers, and that's the position that I played. So like it's a position I pay particular attention to. So when somebody's not good defensively, it bothers me a lot, especially at a position that's involved on every single pitch.
I got you, dude. That's all good with me. So with that said, Gonzo did give me his pick to click earlier, and I believe you said you're going to pick someone different this week, Zim.
Yes. So just to put it out there, Gonzo picks Luis Robert this week, and I'm totally okay with it. I have ridden the hot hand long enough. I think I've picked him 5 straight weeks, and it's led me to 4 wins in those 5 weeks. So I'm ecstatic about that, but I think he's starting to cool off. A little bit. That much shows in the fact that he had an offer yesterday. And on top of it, he hasn't had a multi-hit game in about 6 or 7 games. So yeah, I haven't put too much thought into who I'm going to pick instead of him. I've just decided not to pick him.
So who would you like, sir?
So I can have anybody I want, huh?
Anybody besides Luis Robert?
Well, see, now I have to ask myself the question of whether or not I think Liam Hendricks is going to get a lot of time this week, especially considering how I like Andy Kalish's point there. Eloy picked the click for the week 100%. I do like that. I am tempted to go with that. But I will say that Hendricks has been on fire lately. Like we were talking in that last segment, the longer I look at his numbers, the more excited I get about that guy. And it's just going to be a matter of how many opportunities do I think he's going to get this week, especially with the end of the season being so close. And he's definitely not pitching 2 days in a row from here on out.
And Zim, let me remind you who we're playing. We're playing the Reds and the Tigers again.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And unless we're blowing more 6-run leads, he'll probably be left in the bullpen, after he shows up halfway through the 5th inning. So yeah, I do think I like Eloy.
Okay.
I think that's going to bite me just because it seems like every time one of us picks Eloy, he duds out that week. But he has been heating up lately. He's hit. I know he hit a bomb today. I feel like he's hit more than that in the past week or so.
He had a bomb today, and he had like a sweet single that turned into a double because of a bad read by the
That's
left
right.
fielder.
That really bad. It wasn't a bad read. It hit the edge of the grass right where the dirt is, and that'll just do wacky things with the bounce of the ball.
Yeah.
The guy just lost it.
And the White Sox got 2 out of it. I believe Abreu and Moncada scored.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I go with Eloy. He's seeing the ball well, and hopefully he's getting hot at the right time of year.
I love it, man. Great pick. Vinny, who you going with for your pick to click?
I'm going to go outside the box here. I joined the show late, and I have no chance of winning, and I was behind the 8 ball from the start. So why not have a little fun with the last pick of the regular season here?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a pitcher.
All right.
Most people don't take pitchers because they only go once. But I am looking for Lucas Giolito to have an incredible start on Saturday. And I believe that will line him up to be either the game 1 or game 2 starter. If he pitches on Saturday, they play Sunday, they start the playoffs. When is that? The 5th? So that would be...
The Sox first game will be on the 7th, which is next Thursday.
Yeah, that's plenty of time for Giolito or Lynn. They go Friday and Saturday respectively. One of them will be the game 1 starter. The other will be game 2. In my opinion, I would go Giolito 1, but we'll see how this last start of the season goes.
It'll be Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday for the games. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Giolito's probably going to start for the White Sox on Saturday against Detroit. He's my pick to click because he is awesome.
Lucas Giolito, it is, man. I love it. Got some cojones. I like it
That's
a lot.
my guy. You talk about my guy. I see it in the chat a lot. Everyone's
That's my guy.
Lucas Giolito's actually my guy. He's got the Italian in him. He's just kind of a sweet strikeout, hard-throwing pitcher. He came over from the Nationals. Been on Giolito since he came over. I have a little extra rooting interest in that guy. So go Giolito.
I love it, man.
My
I
ace.
feel good about that.
My ace.
Your ace in the hole. I like it a lot. I feel weird making this pick when there are so many options on the table. But, I'm going to go with a guy who I think is going to get a lot of playing time this week. A guy that, might be filling in for other guys that are getting rest for the playoffs. I'm going to go with Leury Garcia this week, guys. I think he's going to continue to stay hot going into the playoffs. I think you're going to see Timmy sit. You're going to see, maybe Eloy sit a day. You'll see, Leury kind of move all over the place and fill in. Maybe Cesar Hernandez gets a day off and move over to second. I don't know why. I just feel like Leury Garcia is going to continue raking this week against these less than stellar baseball teams. Although, as we agree, that the Detroit Tigers are an up-and-coming team for the future. But I still think it's going to be a good week for Leury Garcia.
I was tempted to pick Leury again to stick to my guns from earlier in the season and say, you know what? I picked him once. I'll pick him again. But yeah. Yeah.
Travis says if the Sox play Houston, I'll be there. Yes, they will likely open there next Thursday. So
they're
Thursday.
They're playing Houston. The question just
they are,
whether or not where.
It's just when.
When and where.
Yep.
It'll probably be. I'd be shocked if it's not next Thursday and Friday of not this week, but the following week.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, there's still a chance, but
is there any possibility for them not to play Houston? Like any way at all?
There was until they got shellacked this weekend.
Okay.
Because it was pointed out to me. I can't remember who pointed it out to me. It was someone I work with that Houston is like actually much closer to Tampa than people play off. Like everyone's assuming the White Sox are going to play Tampa. And I'm like, oh, they're only 2 behind Tampa because they had won like 7 of 10. And then the second I wrote the article, I jinxed the crap out of them and they lost 4 right now. So I guess credit to me for jinxing Houston, maybe.
Actually,
could be.
If Houston wins out and Tampa Bay loses out, they would finish with the same record. Does anybody know who the tiebreaker would be there?
My guess is Houston as the tiebreaker because you never saw anything about Tampa clinching the 1 seed.
Right, and they're playing each other this week, so I would think that would give them the edge in the season series in the head-to-head.
So I wonder if the magic number for that is 1.
Yeah, I'm thinking there actually is some kind of scenario in which the White Sox would actually have to play Tampa.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the magic number is 1 with 5 games left.
Well, and conversely, it looks like if Houston loses out, and I'm sorry, this is getting a little ahead of ourselves, more into guaranteed, or is that in guaranteed take?
Playoff scenarios? Yes.
Yes. Should I shut up now and we'll just talk about this later?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll definitely get into this stuff in a little bit here in the guaranteed take.
There's some nitty gritty to get into
until we're there.
What I'm seeing.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways for this to play out and not a lot of time, but that's okay. Just wanted to point out at the bottom of our screen, these are our picks to click for the week. Larry Garcia for me, Eloy Jimenez for Zim, Gonzo with Luis Robert, and Vinny going ballsy with Lucas Giolito. I love it in every single way.
Let's go, Lucas.
It's very, very good.
Just watch Gio throw like a perfect game and just like none of our picks matter.
Feed me. Partially why I went with a pitcher, just in case some of the hitters like get days off.
I hope you realize now, after every single out that he makes, I'm going to text you, it's still a perfect game. It's still a perfect game. It's still a perfect game.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. But we are going to, hop into another segment here in just a second, in a segment that we like to call White Sox Weekly. Yeah, so this is the last week of the season for our boys, the regular season, that is. And it's an interesting schedule. Let's talk through it real quick and take a look at what we're going to be dealing with here. I'll blow this up so it's a little bit bigger for everyone to see. Obviously, this game's over. We won today, but let's take a look at the next 5. We get 2 versus the Cincinnati Reds at home here in Chicago. And we close out the season with 3 against the Detroit Tigers here at home as well. But let's take a look at tomorrow's game. Another start for Reynaldo Lopez going up against Riley O'Brien, who I don't know anything about. Clearly, this must be his first action in the league because he's got 0 ERA and anything like that. So, you know anything about this kid, Vinny?
So I know that the Reds played a makeup game today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm assuming that had something to do with it and their schedule being all wonky. Yeah, based on the 0 ERA and 0 strikeouts and 0-0 record, it looks like this is going to be his first major league action, at least this season. So it'll be interesting to see how the White Sox, that could go either way. The kids always come in and either get shellacked or, they dominate. And so Reynaldo Lopez getting his last start of this season, at least, you creep in the back of your head like, is this his last White Sox start ever? Because who
Could
knows
be.
what the rotation looks like last year. I will say, I'm proud of Reynaldo Lopez. He allowed the White Sox to have a 6-man rotation to end this season and make sure that all the guys are fully rested, the ones that have had issues here and there. So it's going to be a good matchup nonetheless. This Castellanos, he is unbelievable, and he just dummies Chicago pitching, not just the White Sox. He comes to this town, and no matter if they're blue or black, he destroys them.
Yeah, he really does. So we're hoping to contain him this week. The much anticipated last start of the season for Carlos Rodon coming up on Wednesday. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, Vinny, but there is some concern that Carlos has a bit of a dead arm, and this may, in a grim kind of way, this might be the last time we see him. If he's not well enough to pitch in the playoffs. But he gets a tough matchup against Sonny Gray, who has had his up and downs this season, but overall still has some fantastic stuff. I think the ERA is a little misleading. Look at those strikeouts. He's got some quality pitches in his arsenal still. He's a guy that has given the White Sox a fit in the past as a part of many different teams, mostly the Oakland A's. But this is going to be a great matchup. Gonzo says in the chat we're facing bums all week on the mound. Well, I wouldn't say Sonny Gray fits the mold as a bum. Sonny's probably the best pitcher we're facing this week, and hopefully we can rough him up a little bit. Anything else you want to say, Vinny, about Carlos in this start? Because it's going to tell us a lot about what we need to see.
Yeah, he's either going to the injured list or to the playoff roster after this start. So we'll see what happens with that. I hope everything's all right, because you look at those numbers and they are enchanted. A 12-5 record with a 2.47 ERA and 181 strikeouts. This guy has been magnificent. And I would hate to see a comeback season like that end with a whimper because of the fact that he has dead arm or whatever it is he's dealing with. Sonny Gray is awesome. He has good starts and bad starts. He's probably going to be facing a lackluster White Sox lineup, depending on what they decide to do on Wednesday. If I was Tony La Russa, if I was going to have a Reds game where I throw out a lackluster lineup, it would be tomorrow. I would try to get Carlos Rodon as much run support as possible, so he's feeling good about himself in his last start. So that would be my take on it. But, it's a quality pitching matchup if Rodon holds up.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be the game of the series for sure. So looking forward to that one. But then they leave, and the Lions, the other horrible Detroit team, the Tigers come to town, and Lance Lynn getting his last start of the season. It's TBD for who the starters are for the Tigers at this point, but this is a final tune-up before the postseason. Looking forward to see what Big Daddy Lance is going to do. It's just been a magical season from him as well. I know the Southside loves him, and for me, he'll be the player to watch in the postseason. So that's a big tune-up game. Looking forward to seeing him there. And everything else is kind of TBD to end out the week. I imagine and hear Vinny, we might see. Do you think you might see a Mike Kopech start here? I think we could see that before.
Giolito's going to start. Giolito's going to start Saturday, I think.
Okay.
And then they confirmed Dylan Cease on Sunday. For Detroit, I don't know for sure. I'm imagining we'll see the starters that went for them this past weekend. So don't be surprised if we see a Casey Mize or a Manning who went today. I'm not sure the Reds actually have a chance. I think the Cardinals are too hot right now. It's probably going to be the Cardinals and the Dodgers. But, the Reds, they're not mathematically eliminated, so they'll play hard. It's going to be a tough week for the White Sox. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough week, and it's going to say a lot about this team in the postseason. And most of all, let's get I think one more win, and we're at 90 wins, right, boys? And
Yes.
The betting over was 91.5 too. I'd like to see them hit the over on the season in Vegas.
I saw it at 90.5 in a few places.
Really?
Yeah.
Either way, I want to see them go over.
I think this is easily a 93 win team.
Yeah.
I think they can get 4 wins this week, 4 out of 5 this week.
I think they could too. I just got to do my humble brag. And during our first show, guys, I predicted the White Sox would win 92 games. That is entirely possible at this point. I just want to point out.
Do you
Yeah,
remember all of our guesses? Because I know we did do that.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had some preseason predictions that I think are pretty close. I feel like you and Gonzo were both at like 92, and I feel like I guessed a little higher than that. I think I guessed like 96 or somewhere around there, but I'm not sure. It would
I
be
think you
interesting to
went
listen
96.
back.
Yeah, it is. And
I'll go back and find an article I wrote. I definitely wrote predictions. I just think
Absolutely.
I think I was high. I think I said like 97, 98. Now, if they had Grandal, Jimenez, and Robert all season long, they probably would have won 105.
Oh,
well,
easily,
I picked in our first episode, Vinny, I picked Luis Robert to be the American League MVP, and he easily could have been if he was healthy.
If he was healthy all season, yeah.
Shohei makes it tough.
I mean, that's
Shohei probably still would have won it, but
Ohtani's doing something that you can't ignore because it's otherworldly.
Yeah.
Where I would love to see Vladdy Jr. edge him out, but I mean, if I remember correctly, did Miguel Cabrera win the MVP the year that he won the Triple Crown?
Yeah, and the year after.
If I remember right, there were some other very strong contenders, and it kind of felt like the only way he got it was because he won the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting conundrum. But I think we all feel like it'll probably go to Ohtani, but who knows? But before we move on, I want to address Travis's comment below because it makes my heart melt. Guys, I can't believe we've been through a whole season already together. I really love the show and don't know what my Monday nights would look like without it. I hope you're back next season. Travis, you could bet your bottom dollar we'll be back next season and during the off season for key moments, acquisitions. Hopefully we're here live reacting to a World Series win. That's my dream here.
Now that Joe has brought it up, I feel like there might be an off-season production of Annie in the cards. So, you'll just have to stick around and find out.
Is it because I said bet your bottom dollar?
That's right. It's absolutely because you said that.
Tomorrow, I'll love you tomorrow. It's only a day away.
I know in real life, Joe's more similar to Daddy Warbucks, but it seems like after that audition, he's going to be Annie.
That would be the most screwed up thing I've ever seen. Oh, look at this. Yeah. And Gonzo. And then Travis said, of course, let's hope so. And Gonzo might be another baby on the show next season. That is also very true. My wife is due in January, so that's coming up very soon. And then our buddy Travis says, you know what? He's been here since day one. That's true, Travis. That's right. We do appreciate it that you've been with us for the whole ride. The support means the world to us, man. And, hopefully we can get a World Series victory together. And maybe we'll bring you on the show to celebrate. How about that? That'd be fun. But getting back on track here, I can't remember where we were. We went through the White Sox Weekly. And I think we're actually getting towards the segment that we were teasing before. A segment that we like to call, as I cue up the video, the Guaranteed Take.
Yay!
Yeah, guys, so we're going to talk about those playoff scenarios and what could happen, which there's a lot of things that can happen before we get to the playoffs. But I do have a little graphic here of the current playoff picture, what it looks like, and we can briefly talk through this. But let's take a look at this, gents. This is where we land right now. Of course, Tampa Bay has got that 1 seed in the American League. Houston at the moment, number 2. We are 3. And then the Yankees and Red Sox would play that wild card game, which is crazy to think you'd have 2 90-win teams playing each other to make the playoffs. That's just crazy, but that it is what it is.
AL East is tough.
Yeah, it's the best division in baseball by far. So, I'm happy that one of them will not move on to the second round. Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, of course, on the National League, it's a little bit fuzzy, but the Cardinals have fought their way into likely having that 5 seed in that wild card game against the Dodgers. Unbelievable month for them. And San Francisco, of course, looking wild. They're the number 1 seed against, and then of course the Brewers won the NL Central, and then the Braves the NL East. So this is kind of how it stacks up, guys. Vinny, what are your takeaways looking at the current postseason picture, and do you think it stays exactly as it is?
I think the National League stays exactly as it is. The Cardinals have a 5.5 game lead on the second wild card spot. It's over. The Padres are mathematically eliminated. Philly's not going to catch them. And I don't think the Cincinnati Reds are going to catch them, especially since I think the White Sox take at least one of those 2 games from them. So they could be the ones who mathematically put the Cardinals in the playoffs, which would be kind of funny. I think every single one of those teams on the American League side can beat the White Sox. I also think every single one of those teams on the American League side can lose to the White Sox. I think it is dead even. If the White Sox win the World Series, I would be 0% surprised. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. If they lost in the first round, I would also be 0% surprised. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. On the National League, the team that reminds me the most of the White Sox is the Brew Crew. They rely on a lot of great pitching, complemented by a very good and deep batting order. And if they could get someone like Christian Yelich cooking the way we know he can cook, I think they're very dangerous. And if the Cardinals play the Dodgers in the 1-game wild card and they were like plus 200, I'd lay a bit of money on the Cardinals. I would. I'm looking forward to potentially betting the Cardinals in the wild card game. On the American League side of things, other than my thoughts on the White Sox, which I already gave, I hope the Yankees play the Red Sox. Feed me the rivalry for a 1-game elimination. Garrett Cole versus Chris Sale. And, if things go wrong for Sale, they can use Eovaldi. They have some deep stuff there. Both batting lineups are awesome. Giancarlo Stanton turns into God when he plays against the Red Sox. So feed me that. The 3 division winners are pretty chalk. They have been chalk since mid-August. There are some strange scenarios for ties in the American League, though. So, and I see the comment from Vincent in the chat about Kershaw pitching in the wild card game. Kershaw might be their number 4. So I really don't see him going in the wild card game.
Scherzer's got to be their one, right?
Either Scherzer or Buehler.
Buehler, yeah.
I mean, they could go with
it's
both
unreal, yeah.
And Urias has low-key been better than Kershaw by a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I think anybody who actively watches the Dodgers would say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I watch the Dodgers a lot because they're always like one of those teams that are on by the time the White Sox are over.
I'm in Colorado, so like I'm conditioned not to like the Brewers. Or the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I am very conditioned not to like a lot of these Western National League teams.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be fun to watch, though, because if Lester and Wainwright are like a duo in the wild card against a Buehler and a Kershaw, or a Buehler and a Scherzer, I mean, who knows what could happen. It's going to be fun to watch. But in the American League with the tie-breaking scenarios, like if the Yankees have to play the Red Sox and then the loser have to play the Blue Jays, it's like I just think
insane.
So
that
cool.
would, I feel like if that situation actually played out, those 3 teams all have to play kind of a round robin to get into the playoffs. I feel like whoever comes out the winner is not a winner at all in that situation. Congratulations, you made the playoffs. Here's Tampa Bay.
Yeah, who's rested and ready to go. Now,
exactly.
The A's have a 3-0 lead on Seattle. Those 2 teams are still in it, too. We keep going back to the AL East. If the A's sweep their way through the rest of these 5 games, they can find themselves in. Or if Seattle figures out a way to come back and win.
Yes.
There's here's in the American League.
Here's your thing. So in the American League, 5 different teams have a legitimate shot at the wild card still. Late in the year, with 5 to 6 games to go for all of these teams. And the only one that's cooling off even a little bit is Toronto. And that's saying something because Toronto, if anybody's been paying attention, is not cold at all by any means. They've won their last 2, but looking at this, let's see, Oakland is 3 games back. Seattle is 2 games back. Toronto is 1 game back. This is going to be a tight, fun race to the end of the year. And it's very possible. I know you say feed me the rivalry all day. No, No, I'm sorry, I can't. I would love to see like Oakland and Seattle or Oakland and Toronto end up as the 2 wild card teams.
That would be
Simply
really cool.
because
That would be cool.
I absolutely hate this free agency capless era of baseball that we're in, where it just, last year was a great example of just whoever spends the most money wins the World Series. I said long ago on this podcast that Moneyball was one of my favorite sports movies of all time. And I think that kind of drives some of the mentality of this, that I hate these teams that think they can just go out and sign 8 players to $200 million contracts and they're going to win a World Series because of it. I would absolutely love to see the Dodgers get blown the hell out in a wild card game, like 11-2, like not even close. Just like, well,
the Cardinals are the team to do it, man. They really
are. Exactly. And same goes for the Yankees and the Red Sox. I would absolutely love to see those guys. I mean, look at it this way. You know who Toronto's key addition was this offseason? Robbie Ray. They spent $8 million on him on a 1-year contract. You know what he's doing right now? Probably winning the Cy Young. I mean, it's just nuts.
No big deal.
Right. It's great stories when you hear about these teams that find the diamond in the rough, or like the White Sox. They've been part of this rebuild since 2012, basically. They've been building this core of players. Toronto's a very similar team in that way. Looking at the rest of these guys, Seattle, I don't know that I could honestly name you one player on the Seattle Mariners. I would love to see them in the playoffs. Absolutely love to see that. And Oakland, Oakland's one of those restless teams that they come around every few years. So yeah, I want to see more excitement. To me, Yankees, Red Sox, if you're a fan of those two teams, I get the rivalry. We
Sure.
understand it rooting for Chicago sports teams with the Bears and the Packers, or the Blackhawks and the Blues, or, the North Side, the Cubs and the Cards. We don't really have one of those on the South Side. Mostly because our team's never competitive when the other teams are, and vice versa. So I don't really care about the rivalry. To me, I personally, I blame ESPN for it. If I didn't have to watch Red Sox Yankees 8 times a year, every year, I'd probably care about it a little bit more. But
that's true to a certain extent. I would agree with that. But let's real quick take a look at the schedule for the playoffs, guys. So, coming up quick, those wild card games coming up. The AL wild card game on the 5th, and the NL on the 6th, and then ALDS, NLCS starting the 7th to the 14th. Hopefully, the ALCS starting October 15th, and then last week of October is the peak of the mountain, the World Series, and we're sure hoping that we are going to be in it.
Just be fully prepared for the White Sox to have an MLB Network Tuesday afternoon playoff game. We are not the most popular team out there in these playoffs, so I would fully expect to kind of get shafted on some of the time slots.
There's a chance the White Sox are the most popular team in the American League, though.
There's a chance,
if the Red Sox or Yankees are not playing the Rays, I would say the White Sox are the most popular of the 4.
Yeah, we're a big market team. I don't see any way that we get any afternoon playoff games.
I feel like
last year, but it was in Oakland.
I feel like Houston will get the airplay over us because of the controversy surrounding them.
Yeah,
they'll get a lot of views because of, but that's also assuming that we don't end up playing Houston. If it's Houston, Chicago, yeah, absolutely prime time. And you bet your butt between innings, they're going to be playing so many highlights from the 2005 World Series.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, that's going to be everywhere if they play each other.
Yep. The last time the White Sox won a playoff series was against the Astros.
Yep. And it was for their their first championship in 100 or just under 188 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fully expect that to be super high ratings if that's the matchup that occurs. But again, these teams are all so close to each other that, let's see, Houston. So Oakland is 1 game away from elimination as far as the division goes, and Seattle is 2 games away. So yeah, it would take somewhat of a miracle to get to that point, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the idea of the entire country rooting for the White Sox? Because I think that would be the case in every matchup, the court of public opinion. Because I don't think there's always bias against the team that won the pennant the year before. That's Tampa. And there's always going to be bias against the Astros as long as the Altuves, the Correas, and the Bregmans are all there.
I like the idea, but it kind of feels like the whole world found out about my dirty little secret, So it's like, it's like
dirty,
this was
dirty,
mine.
all right.
Well, I mean, it kind of is though. It's like we've been watching this for years. We went through the suffering. We went through watching Adam LaRoche, play first base, thinking he was going to be one of the cornerstones of this franchise for a couple of years. We legitimately were sold that for 2 to 3 years, 2 years before he essentially got booted off the team. But we were sold that. We were sold that Yolmer Sanchez could be the future at second base. We suffered through, I don't know. I wanted to say Avi Garcia, but he's actually turned out to be a hell of an MLB player.
When he plays the one position of need for the White Sox.
It's a whole thing. We don't need to get into that right now. That's a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, through the injuries, through the injuries, through the players that we've dealt with, I mean, hell, Gordon Beckham was one of the corners of this franchise for a long time, and now he's announcing the games.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long we've been dealing with this crap. And now it's kind of paying off, and the rest of the country's like, oh, hey, these guys are pretty good. It's like, yeah, we've been trying to tell you about it for years. We've been trying to tell you that Tim Anderson's the most fun player in baseball. We've been trying to tell you that we have some, for the ladies out there, we have some beautiful Puerto Rican and Cuban players on our team. I mean, all I'm saying is every time I turn on the White Sox, my girlfriend is looking for certain players because, I guess they're not so bad on the eyes. What can I say? So, yeah, I'm short and stumpy. That's all I got to say about that. But I can't blame her. It's just the White Sox do have something for everybody. So I understand the appeal. I understand the appeal. But again, it feels like they're taking something that I wanted to keep for myself, and now I have to share it.
That's right. And that's how we feel too. But I'm all for people rooting for them.
See, it's not just me.
Yeah, Vincent says his girl's addicted to Moncada. So, I mean, hey, my wife's addicted to me. So,
well, lucky you.
I don't know. I guess I haven't done the poll with my wife, but that's all right. I like to think that I'd like to win. I win anyway, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's fun stuff regardless. We've had a heck of a show that we thought was going to be really short ended up being an hour and 45 plus. But hey, we're excited for the playoffs. The chat was fired up, and it's been a great night talking baseball. Playoffs are around the corner. Next week, boys, we'll know all the details. We'll know who's playing in what games. Well, at least the wild card games. We'll know who we're playing first round. It's going to be a great week. Our buddy Chris Gonzalez should be back with us next week, knock on wood. Shout out to you, Chris, today. I know you couldn't make it, but you hung out in the chat for the very end of the show, which we do appreciate. But we've reached the shout-out portion of our show before we close the gates and get ready for the playoffs. So, Steven Zimmerman, we'll start off with you. What do you got for shout-outs?
Hey, shout out to Matt Nagy for reminding me I'm an idiot for rooting for that team. Shout out to
let's not talk about that anymore.
Yeah, I know. I had a real one. I had a real one. I swear. I kind of forgot it though.
I
thought I'd forgotten about it.
No, just shout outs to everybody. If you don't follow my Twitter accounts, check them out. Raging Sox fan, you can see underneath there. Raging Bear fan for some Bears takes. Always adorable pictures of my son in his cutest.
There's a real adorable one.
Yeah. And his cutest
Bears
Bears
onesie
and
and
White Sox. Yeah. His Bears and White Sox attire. he does rock the South Burbs Hitmen gear. So, you know, shout out to my partner, my girlfriend, for giving me the cutest little baby on the planet. And shout out to him for posing and dealing with my crap when I want to post his face places.
That's what I like, man.
And hey, you know what? Shout out to the older one too. You know, Robert is coming of age. He's starting to really enjoy the White Sox.
Luis?
No, my eldest.
I know.
His name is Robert. He roots for Robert, of course.
Yeah.
We just bought him tickets to his first live concert. So
Real Friends.
We will be taking him to see State Champs, Real Friends, 4 Years Strong, and a couple other bands that I'm sure everybody in the chat's never heard of. So
John Bon Jovi.
No, unfortunately, it's going to be nice and low key. But I mean, shout out to my local venues for making it possible. I was real worried about him being able to attend due to, you know, local restrictions because of COVID and everything. I reached out to them and they gave me a really quick, speedy answer about how to remedy the situation and be able to bring him with. So I'm really excited to get to share something I love with someone I love for the first time.
Right in the fields, man. I love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, Zim, and we love that we get some playoffs next week to talk about. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I can't wait. Vinny Parisi, what do you got for shout outs, my friend? And of course, don't forget to talk about Crosstown Crosstalk and Bar Down.
Shout out to Myles Garrett. Anyone that makes Matt Nagy look like a stupid moron is a A1 in my book.
He could throw his helmet at me any day.
Yeah, I wish he'd.
No, not me. I like being conscious.
Yeah. So Myles Garrett, thank you. Anyone who makes Matt Nagy look like a fool, I'm all in. Mom, dad, brother, thank you for everything. Specifically, this upcoming week we have a big show for Bar Down. It's the last show. No, it's not the last show before the regular season starts, but it's the last show, or it's the first show, I guess, after spring training, or not spring training. I'm losing my train of thought here. Preseason started, so that's fully underway. Everyone's ready to go. We're getting into that. And Thursday, Crosstown Crosstalk, we'll, you know, maybe have a guest. I'm working on it. Talk baseball some more because I can't go a whole week without talking about it publicly. Yeah, that's it for my shout outs. I'm very excited for this week's set of shows, and I hope everyone tunes in because it's going to be pretty hefty with the conversations.
I like it, man. That's what I like to hear. You know, I'm looking forward to a great week of shows here on the Barroom Network. Of course, you have Dan and Aldo bare their souls, recapping their trip to Cleveland, which I'm sure that's going to be a fun show.
I know there's going to be stories I don't want to hear, but I have to listen to anyway.
Oh, me too. It's like banging your head against a wall. You just do it for whatever reason, and you know you should stop, but you just got to keep doing it.
Their stories are like train wrecks. You want to turn them off, but you're like, no, I got to find out what happens here.
Like,
you can't.
And I want Mike North to know he still owes me my money, Mike North. Where are you at, Mike North?
What does he owe you money for?
He doesn't. He cracks jokes about how, like, when you ask an Italian for the money, you just assume that they're right, or like you get the bat or something. He cracked a joke and it was hilarious. I'll have to send you guys the clip. And he's like, I'm Italian, so I could say this stuff.
Yeah. And
seriously though, Dan and Aldo is some can't miss radio for those of you who have not checked out the show yet. Be warned, it is not for small ears.
It's not for children.
Say not even 13 up. Like, it is full on 18 up, 21 up, depending on what part of the country or what province you're living in. Just be aware. Be warned if you've not listened to it yet.
I was a guest on it one time, and I feel like it was the cleanest episode they've ever had because we only talked about like football.
The first episode I was on with them felt very, very similar. I was giving them my opinions on it was right after the playoff game last year, and I was giving them my opinions on the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Bears game.
It felt weird.
I'd love to see that again this year. I want to see Squidward. You know,
they are doing it again this year.
They are doing it again.
The Bears will assuredly not be in that game.
Yeah, probably. But
yes, the second time.
I hope the Bills are so bad.
The second time we went, Mitch to be 2-time MVP.
Yeah, exactly. I want the Bills to be it so bad.
The second time I went on Dan and Aldo, we wound up discussing cartoon characters in a less than wholesome way. So I'll leave it at that. And
That's all right.
there are plenty of other shows other than Aldo and Dan. I just wanted to give that one a shout out because
that's
it's going to
exactly
be
where I was about to go.
It's going to be a particularly raunchy show this week. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, it sure will. And of course, there's tons of other great shows on the Barroom Network. You got the Mike North Advantage this week as well.
Lots of Bulls content coming up.
You got Bulls 101. You've got Bulls Gold. I believe Salim's new show, Science Fiction, is potentially debuting this week. Keep your eyes on the Barroom Network feed for that. Of course, I think you got Mikey Betts this week. You got Barfly Tailgate on Sunday, Fantasy Football Goon on Sunday, you name it. There's a ton of stuff coming your way. Make sure you hit that follow button, whether it's on Twitter over at Barroom Network, South Burbs Hitmen, any of our personal accounts, Joe Mandel, Vinny Parisi, Raging Sox fan, Raging Bear fan, at Gonzo CG3. And then, of course, if you're on YouTube, please give us a subscribe. You'll get notified when we go live, all the different shows. You can go join the chat live like you're doing right now. So we do appreciate that. And then, of course, you could head on over to deepdishtees.com/barroom, and that helps support what we do. You can go buy a t-shirt, South Burbs Hitmen, Bar Down Blackhawks, Crosstown Crosstalk, you name it. The URLs at the bottom, deepdishtees.com/barroom. Help support all the great shows, and we can keep doing what we get to do every single week. And whether it's a button, a sticker, a shirt, we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. So anything you can do to help support us, we really appreciate it. And in time for my shout outs, I'm going to keep it real simple. My beautiful wife, Catherine, I love you. My Great Dane puppy, Maverick, I love you, buddy. And our little girl who is on the way, a little over 6 months. We love you to pieces. Can't wait to meet you. And like I always do, a huge shout out to everybody in the chat. Love you guys for tuning in and giving us all the support. I'll give a quick shout out to Snark Burley, who was going to join us but couldn't make it tonight. Awesome shirts and quality stuff for Soxtober. You can check out, some of her stuff as well. Big shout out to her. And then, of course, all my co-hosts here, Vinny, Zim, and Gonzo. I love you guys like brothers. And I can't wait for playoff baseball here on the south side of Chicago. It's pumping through my veins. I'm going to be at the entire first home series, the home games of the ALDS, and hopefully an ALCS and World Series game. God is good. The White Sox are the team in Chicago. For the South Burbs Hitmen, I'm Joe Mandel. That's Vinny Parisi. Steven Zimmerman's below me in the dark, and Chris Gonzalez is somewhere out there in the internet. He will be back with us most likely next week. But until then, we are the South Burbs Hitmen. Let's go White Sox. Let's win a playoff series. And let's go 5-0 to finish the season. How about that? We'll see you guys next week. Go White Sox.